Donald Trump has now reacted to one of the worst chemical bombings in history. And as we tell this story, it is important to show the photos, but it's very disturbing to look. For the first time, the president is putting the blame directly on Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Barrel bombs brimming with sarin gas, a nerve agent dropped from the skies, killing dozens, including young children. They were gassed as they slept. Here was President Trump from the White House.
It's already happened that my attitude toward Syria and Assad has changed very much. And if you look back over the last few weeks, there were other attacks using gas. You're now talking about a whole different level. So, as you know, I would love to have never been in the Middle East. I would love to have never seen that whole big situation start. But once it started, we got out the wrong way. And ISIS formed in the vacuum, and lots of bad things happened. I will tell you, what happened yesterday is unacceptable to me.
I'm going to bring in a victim of the sarin gas attack in Syria in August of 2013. He is Kassem Eid. Kassem, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Brooke.
Obviously, I want to get your reaction to President Trump's words, but first, just your story. You were there in 2013 when more than 1,400 people were killed. What do you remember about that day?
I remember that day as if it was yesterday. I always describe it as Judgment Day. It was in the early morning, around 5 a.m., when I started hearing sirens coming from Damascus, and suddenly rockets started hitting the ground. Seconds later, I lost my ability to breathe. I felt like my chest was set on fire. My eyes were burning, and I wasn't even able to scream to alert my friends. After dozens of times beating my chest, I was able to take my first breath, and it was a feeling of pain that I will never forget. I started screaming in agony, trying to wake up my friends, and I was also hearing the neighbors screaming in the same way. I went to the street and I saw men, women, and children running and falling on the ground, in a scene that can only be described as Judgment Day. And I was trying to rescue a little boy, and suddenly I lost my conscience, and my heart stopped, and doctors tried to give me CPR and atropine, then they gave up on me and they placed me between the dead bodies. And I don't know, somehow one of my friends noticed I was still moving, called the doctors again, gave me more atropine, more CPR, and it was God's will that brought me back to life. I woke up to see Assad bombing each and every corner of our town. It wasn't a random attack, it was a massacre. I helped the United Nations Weapons Inspectors team to investigate the incident because of my English skills. I helped them fill the reports and take them to examine the scenes and everything. But if I can say with all truth that the most painful memory about that attack is watching President Obama failing to fulfill his promise about breaking the red line. When I was watching him talking about making that deal with the Russians, instead of punishing Assad at least for once, just for once, for committing this crime against humanity. But he failed. He broke his promise. And with that broken promise, he broke a lot of hearts in Syria. And he made a lot of people give up on any kind of help coming from the international community. He fueled ISIS, he fueled the extremists with that broken promise. Because a lot of people saw that that was the end, that no matter what the hell Assad is gonna do, nobody's gonna stop him, nobody's gonna do anything, just to punish him, just for once. He killed more than 500,000 people, displaced millions of people, and still he's still there in Damascus doing what he wants to do. And we saw what happened yesterday and the day before, and since the beginning of the Syrian revolution in 2011, we rebelled against the Assad regime asking for freedom and democracy, just like the freedom and democracy you have in your own country. We're no different than you. We were just asking to build our country. If I may just say a few words directly to President Trump, if you'll just give me the chance.
Please.
Mr. President, please, in the name of every woman and child and elder who got killed by the Assad regime, please come in and help us. Don't make the same mistakes that President Obama did. You criticized Obama for failing to punish and act when Assad crossed the red lines. Now is the moment of truth. Now you should show the world that those days are over. We can't just keep living in this unprecedented crimes against humanity. We just can't keep living like this. I would personally love to come to the United States and meet you and tell you my personal story and give you a first-hand account about what happened in Syria. I left the United States. I came to the United States in 2014 and I testified at the United Nations Security Council, in the Congress, at the White House, in the Senate, in front of the DOD. I was on 60 Minutes. I wrote articles in the Wall Street Journal, in Washington Post, in Foreign Policy. I spoke in think tanks and universities like Harvard and Yale. I was all over the country, and I left the United States last year out of frustration, out of disappointment, not because of travel ban, not because of anything. Syrians didn't rebel to leave Syria. We rebelled to stay in our country. We want to stay in our country and make our country a better place for all Syrians, regardless of their ethnic or religious background. Please help us. Go after the man who created all of this mess. It's Bashar al-Assad. Don't make the same mistake President Obama did. Don't let Bashar al-Assad walk away. Give the people of Syria hope. Show them that the United States actually cares about human rights.
Yes,
that it's not just words. Please
Kassem,
do that. Please do
Kassem,
that.
this is one of those times I truly hope the president is watching cable news and hears your pleas of all people who would know, of all people who it sounds like you were cast away as dead until you moved. I just thank you so much for your bravery and your strength and your words. Thank you. Kassem Eid. Thank you so much. Wow. Let me just bring in now Harvard professor Nicholas